If you've been praying quietly and wondering if God still hears you, this prayer is for you. Don't scroll. Listen to this. Because if you stopped here, this message is for you. And I don't say that lightly. Something guided you to this exact moment, at this exact second, because your heart needs this right now, and deep down you know it. You've been waking up with a heaviness you can't explain, going to bed with questions that don't have answers, wondering why it feels like God has been silent, while everyone else seems to be moving forward, smiling, winning, loving, living, while you've been holding yourself together in quiet ways nobody sees. And today I need you to hear this clearly. God has not forgotten you, not even for a second, not in your weakest night, not in your most confused prayer, not in the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. He saw all of it, and if you've been feeling disconnected, delayed, or emotionally exhausted, it's not because you're abandoned, it's because you're being prepared, refined, and repositioned for something your spirit has been asking for long before your mind could understand it. Listen to this slowly, because this is not just a prayer, this is a wake-up call for your soul. There are people listening right now who have been seeing repeating numbers like 1111, 222, 444, or waking up at the same time every night, feeling a pull they can't explain, sensing that something is about to change but not knowing when, and you've been asking, God, if you're there, give me a sign. And this, right now, is that sign. You're not crazy for feeling the way you do, you're not weak for needing reassurance, and you're not behind in life the way your mind keeps telling you are, because divine timing doesn't follow human clocks, and what feels like delay is often protection. There are battles you didn't have to fight because God stepped in before you even knew what was coming. And there are relationships that didn't work out not because you weren't enough, but because they would have broken you at a deeper level later. And yes, I'm talking to the one who loved deeply, waited honestly, prayed sincerely, and still felt left behind. This message is for you. You've been questioning your worth, your purpose, even your faith, whispering prayers like, God, I'm tired of being strong. And heaven heard that, because strength doesn't mean silence, and faith doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you keep showing up even when you don't understand. And right now God is closer than you think, closer than your breath, closer than your fear, and closer than the voice in your head that keeps saying, maybe I was forgotten. No. You were chosen, and chosen seasons are often the loneliest ones because separation comes before elevation, isolation before revelation. And if you've been feeling pulled away from old habits, old people, old versions of yourself, that's not loss, that's alignment. I need you to hear this, especially if you've been thinking about love, wondering if your soulmate will ever find you, asking why everyone else seems paired while you're still waiting. Your waiting is not punishment, it's preparation, because the love meant for you isn't rushed, confused, or half-hearted. It's aligned, awakened, and spiritually mature. And before two souls can meet, they both have to be ready, healed, and able to recognize each other. And right now, God is working on both sides of that connection. You may not see it yet, but there are conversations happening in the spiritual realm on your behalf, doors being arranged, paths being crossed, timing being synchronized, and you're being protected from meeting someone too early or too wounded to love you the way you deserve. If your heart has been aching lately, if old memories have been resurfacing, if you've been feeling emotional for no clear reason, that's not regression, that's release. Your spirit is shedding what it can no longer carry into the next chapter. Stay with me, because this is where it gets important. This season of silence you're in is not God ignoring you, it's God teaching you to listen differently. Because sometimes the loudest miracles happen quietly, and the biggest breakthroughs come right after you feel like giving up. You didn't stumble onto this message by accident. Your soul recognized safety here, truth here, and hope here. And before this prayer even continues, I want you to take a breath and let your shoulders relax, because you've been carrying too much alone, and you were never meant to. This is your reminder that you are seen, you are guided, and you are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. And in the next part, I'm going to speak directly into the confusion you've been feeling lately. The signs, the dreams, the emotional waves, and why they're all pointing to a spiritual awakening that's already begun. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next might be the confirmation you've been praying for. Listen carefully and don't scroll now, because what I'm about to say is meant to reach the deepest part of you, the part that's been quiet, tired, and still hoping even when you pretend you're not. This is where clarity begins. And if the past few days or weeks have felt emotionally intense, like waves hitting your heart for no clear reason, that's not random, that's spiritual pressure before a breakthrough. Because right before God shifts your reality, He first stirs your spirit, and that stirring can feel uncomfortable, confusing, even overwhelming. You might have noticed your sleep patterns changing, your dreams becoming more vivid, or old feelings resurfacing without warning, and you've been asking yourself, why now? Why am I thinking about this again? Because your soul is waking up, and awakenings are never quiet, they don't ask permission, and they don't follow logic. This is the stage where everything you buried, avoided, or tried to heal alone starts coming back. Not to hurt you, but to finally leave you for good. And I know that sounds heavy, but stay with me, because this is actually good news. You see, God doesn't heal on the surface, He heals at the root, and the reason you felt like He's been silent is because He's been working underneath, rearranging things you couldn't see, protecting you from outcomes you didn't pray for but would have regretted. And if you've been feeling disconnected from people lately, like conversations feel shallow or draining, that's because your frequency is changing. Your spirit is outgrowing spaces it once tolerated, and this season is asking you to choose depth over distraction, alignment over attention. Hear this clearly, nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken, you're not losing your mind, and you're not falling behind. You're shedding an old identity that can't follow you where you're going. And that process feels lonely because not everyone can come with you. This is also why you've been seeing signs everywhere. Numbers repeating on clocks, license plates, receipts, random moments where you look up and it's 11:11 or 3:33, and your heart skips a beat like, what does that mean? It means you're being reminded that you're not walking alone, that there's order in the chaos. That divine timing is active even when life feels paused. Angel numbers aren't magic, they're reminders. Reminders to stay present, to trust the process, to stop doubting the path just because you can't see the destination yet. And if you've been feeling drawn to messages like this, to spiritual content, prayers, or moments of stillness, that's not coincidence, that's alignment. Because when your soul is ready, truth finds you. Now let me speak to the part of you that's been questioning love, because this is where a lot of the ache has been hiding. You've loved deeply, maybe too deeply, and you've been asking why it hasn't been returned in the same way, why people meet you halfway and then disappear, why connections start strong and fade without closure. And it's made you wonder if you're asking for too much or if something about you is hard to love. But listen to this slowly. Your heart isn't heavy because it's broken, it's heavy because it's full. And not everyone has the capacity to hold what you carry. The reason certain relationships didn't last is not because you failed, but because they were assignments, not destinations, and they taught you something you needed before you could meet the person meant to walk with you long term. Your soulmate, yes, your real, divinely aligned connection, is not delayed. They are being prepared just like you are, and preparation often looks like separation, healing, and growth on both sides, because love that lasts is built by two whole people, not two wounded souls clinging to each other. If you've been feeling moments of sudden peace mixed with sudden sadness, that's your heart releasing old timelines and opening space for new ones. And I know that waiting feels unfair sometimes, especially when you see others settling down or moving on. But comparison will only blind you to your own blessings, and what's meant for you will never need to be chased, forced, or begged for. It will recognize you naturally. This is why God has been asking you to slow down, to sit with yourself, to learn your own patterns, boundaries, and worth, because the next connection you enter won't be based on loneliness or survival. It will be based on clarity and choice. Now here's something important that you might not realize yet. This season you're in is also a season of spiritual authority, meaning your prayers are being taken seriously, your words carry weight, and what you focus on right now is shaping what comes next, which is why God has been gently pulling you away from negativity, overthinking, and self-doubt, because those things can't come with you. You've been asking for change, but change starts internally, and that's what's happening right now. Even if your outer life hasn't caught up yet, your inner world is shifting fast, and once the inside aligns, the outside follows quickly. Don't underestimate this phase just because it looks quiet, because silence is often the final moment before something speaks loudly into your life. If your heart feels tender right now, that's because it's open, and open hearts receive faster. I want you to know that this morning prayer isn't just about comfort, it's about confirmation. Confirmation that your pain has purpose, your waiting has meaning, and your story is still unfolding. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to speak directly about the breakthrough that comes after this kind of awakening, the doors that begin to open, the clarity that settles in, and the moment you realize why everything had to happen exactly the way it did. And when you hear that, something in you is going to click, like pieces finally falling into place. Don't scroll now. Stay with me, because this is the turning point, the part where confusion starts making sense. And if your heart has been racing or your chest feels tight for no obvious reason, that's because truth is getting close. And truth always stirs something before it settles. This is where God begins to show you why the delay was necessary, why the silence had meaning, and why the closed doors you cried over were actually saving you from rooms that weren't built to hold who you're becoming. I want you to listen as if this message is being spoken directly to you, because it is. And if you've been feeling like you're standing between two versions of your life, not fully who you were, not yet who you're becoming, that space you're in right now is sacred, even though it feels uncomfortable, because transformation never happens in familiar places. This is the season where God removes the blindfold, not all at once, but gently, layer by layer, so you don't get overwhelmed by what you're about to step into. You might have noticed moments lately where clarity suddenly hits you, realizations about people, patterns, or paths you once thought you needed, and instead of anger, you feel calm, almost detached, like, I see it now. And that's not emotional numbness, that's emotional maturity. That's what happens when your spirit catches up to what your heart has already survived. This is also why you've been feeling less reactive, less willing to chase explanations or closure, because you're realizing that peace is more valuable than being understood, and alignment is more important than being chosen. Hear this clearly. The version of you that begged, waited, and doubted is not the version walking into the next chapter. And God had to keep you hidden for a while so you could shed survival mode and step into self-trust. If you're listening right now and thinking, something feels different, but I can't explain it, that's because your intuition is waking up, your discernment is sharpening, and you're learning to recognize what feels safe, what feels forced, and what feels divinely aligned. This is where signs become louder, not because you need them, but because you're finally ready to understand them. You may start noticing synchronicities that feel too specific to ignore, running into the right person at the right time, hearing the same message repeated in different ways, songs, conversations, or thoughts lining up as if the universe is echoing back what you've been asking for. And that's not coincidence, that's confirmation. God speaks in patterns, not panic, and when you're aligned, things begin to flow instead of fight you. Now let me speak to the ache that still lingers in your heart, because even in growth, there's grief. You're grieving old versions of yourself, old dreams, and old timelines you thought would happen by now. And that grief is valid. Healing doesn't mean you forget. It means you make peace with what was and choose not to live there anymore. You're allowed to miss what hurt you. You're allowed to feel emotional without wanting to go back. And you're allowed to outgrow what once felt like home. This is also why forgiveness has been coming up for you lately. Not because those people deserve access to you again, but because your soul deserves freedom. Forgiveness is not reconnection, it's release. And God is inviting you to lay down resentment so your hands are free to receive what's next. If love has been on your mind, real love, lasting love, I need you to hear this. The next connection in your life will feel calm, not chaotic. It won't trigger your anxiety, it will soothe it. It won't confuse you, it will clarify you. And the reason past connections felt intense but unstable is because they were teaching you what love is not. Your soulmate will meet you where you are, not where you were, and they will recognize your growth without needing you to prove it. This is also why you've been feeling a stronger sense of self lately, a clearer idea of your boundaries, values, and non-negotiables. Because the love meant for you requires you to know who you are, not lose yourself trying to be chosen. And if you've been feeling moments of unexpected peace, random calm in the middle of uncertainty, that's God reminding you that you're safe, that you're held, and that you don't need to rush what's unfolding naturally. Peace is often the loudest sign that you're on the right path. Now here's something crucial. What's coming next in your life will arrive quickly once it starts. And that's why this slow season was necessary. Because acceleration requires stability. God doesn't rush blessings that require responsibility, and the life you've been praying for. Emotionally, spiritually, relationally, needs a version of you that's grounded, not desperate. If you've been feeling like something big is close but you can't see it yet, trust that feeling, because intuition always speaks before reality changes. Stay open, stay gentle with yourself. And don't go back to old patterns just because the new ones feel unfamiliar. This is not the time to doubt yourself. This is the time to trust what you've learned. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to speak about the moment of alignment. The shift where everything you've been preparing for begins to show up in tangible ways. And when that happens, you'll understand why you had to walk this path exactly the way you did. Don't scroll. Stay right here, because this is the moment everything comes together, the moment your heart has been quietly waiting for, even if you didn't know how to name it. And if you feel emotional right now, if your eyes feel heavy or your chest feels warm, that's because your spirit recognizes truth, and truth doesn't knock loudly, it resonates. This is the part where God gently places peace where fear used to live, where answers don't come as noise but as knowing. And I want you to hear this as if it's being whispered directly into your soul. You are not late, you are not forgotten, and you are not being punished by delay. You are being positioned for alignment, and alignment always feels slower right before it feels effortless. Everything you've walked through, every unanswered prayer, every almost love, every closed door, every night you questioned yourself, your worth, or even God. None of it was wasted, because nothing that grows you is ever wasted. And right now you are standing at the edge of a shift that will not require you to beg, chase, or explain yourself. What's coming will recognize you, meet you in your authenticity, and feel familiar in a way that's calm, not chaotic. I need you to release the idea that something is wrong with you for still wanting more, for still believing in love, purpose, and meaning. Because that hope is not weakness. It's evidence that your spirit is still alive, still open, still aligned with something higher. If you've been seeing signs lately, angel numbers repeating, moments of perfect timing, random reassurance showing up when you felt low, that's not coincidence. That's confirmation, a quiet reminder that you are being guided even when the path feels unclear. God does not rush what He's protecting, and the reason this season asked you to slow down is because what you're about to receive requires presence, discernment, and self-respect. You're not meant to enter the next chapter exhausted, you're meant to enter it aware, awake, and grounded. And yes, love is part of this story. Real love, not the kind that drains you or keeps you guessing, but the kind that feels safe, mutual, and spiritually aligned. Your soulmate, your divine counterpart, is not lost or ignoring you. They are on their own path of growth, healing, and awakening. And when the timing is right, the meeting will feel natural, not forced, like two timelines finally syncing after moving separately for so long. You won't have to convince them of your value, you won't have to shrink or overextend. Because the connection will meet you where you are now, not where you were when you were hurting. Until then, this season is about trust. Trusting your intuition, trusting the quiet guidance, trusting that what's meant for you will arrive without you abandoning yourself. Let go of the version of you that thought love had to hurt to be real, that thought waiting meant failing, that thought silence meant rejection. Because you're stepping into a phase where clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces anxiety, and confidence replaces doubt. And I want you to know this deeply. God hears the prayers you didn't have words for, the ones you felt instead of spoke, the ones hidden in tears, sighs, and late-night thoughts. And just because the answer didn't come when you wanted it doesn't mean it wasn't on the way. Sometimes the blessing doesn't arrive immediately because you're still becoming the person who can hold it without losing yourself. Take a breath right now and release the pressure you've been putting on yourself to figure it all out. Because life is not asking you to control the outcome, it's asking you to stay open during the unfolding. You don't need to rush, compare, or prove anything. Your journey is unfolding in divine order, even the parts that didn't make sense at the time. And before this message ends, I want you to receive this prayer quietly in your heart. May peace settle where worry once lived. May clarity replace confusion. May love find you when you are most yourself. And may you never again mistake silence for abandonment. You are guided, you are protected, and you are deeply loved, even in the waiting. If this message reached you, it's because you were meant to hear it, and if your heart feels lighter now, that's your confirmation. Stay open, stay present, and trust what's unfolding, because the chapter you're stepping into will make everything you survived finally make sense. That I mean.